Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Today, I'd like to speak to you guys about unity and its importance in keeping a community. Let's first discuss the definition of it. Unity is the joining or the oneness of those who are of like mind and like heart. Often, when we think about people coming together, we normally focus on the physical, but it's not the physical that is going to bring you together or keep you together. Okay? And as the saying goes, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Meaning, just because they look like you, that doesn't mean that their motives, agendas, etc. are the same as you. So unfortunately, no, you cannot unite with just about anybody. You have to be selective with who you choose in order to join your fight. However, I do believe that more people can come together, and if more people were to come together, their neighborhoods, their communities would be better, and even the world, if you will, would be a better place if more people were to value unity. So what I'm about to discuss is why it's necessary, and also the reason why I think people are having a hard time coming together as one. Okay? First thing that I see is that there are some people, especially before 2020, where life was just a party to them. They really had no care in the world at all. And then you had others who, for whatever reason, they really felt as though they had no control. Now, granted, honestly, there are things in life that you can't control, but there are definitely other things that you can control. And I think a lot of that is also related to my next point, which I'm going to bring out, and that's ignorance. See, a lot of people are ignorant as far as what power they possess, what rights they possess, and so they don't even exercise it. They're not taught it, so they don't look and seek it out. Okay, and some people, to be quite honest, have been mistaught. So that's an issue right there. I'm going to go back to ignorance, but I want to go into another area that I've seen, another thing that I see when it comes to having change come about in a community. And that is, a lot of times people will not go out and meet their local representatives, their assemblymen, or community leaders and let them know what's going on and what needs to be changed. They'll speak to a neighbor, which is good, but then they leave it right there. And then only, and in some cases, in some instances, only one person will actually go and meet with those leaders and representatives. Here's what happens. When they see just one person, they think that it's only that one person that has that problem. When they hear from only one person, they think it's that only that one person that has that problem. So when only one person complains, they say to themselves, the leaders, oh, well, the issue is not that serious. And sometimes they'll even say, this person is a pain in the neck. This person is a complainer. Okay, that is another problem. You see, if more people were to get together and go to these meetings and meet with these leaders and also vote when election time comes, then you would definitely begin to see a change in your neighborhood, a change in your community. At the least, what could and should be done is to get a petition. When certain things in your neighborhood is not correct, go around to those same neighborhoods that have been complaining, write a letter, compose a letter, and then all of you put your signatures on it, so that when you or whoever normally meets with the community leaders, they have that list. Now that we are in 2020 and most things are done virtually, you really don't have to get up and go anymore. All you have to do is normally go on Facebook, and that community board, that town hall, has a Facebook page where they are actually doing Facebook Lives, and you can interact with the people there. So I really strongly encourage you, if you have not done so, to go ahead and do so. And you will definitely begin to see a change in what goes on in your neighborhood. Because believe it or not, some of our political leaders, they don't even live in our neighborhoods. And part of that is our fault, because we keep electing people who are not local. Okay, and that's not to say that people who don't live in the neighborhood don't care. In some instances, that actually is accurate, but for the most part, even the ones that do care, if they don't live in the neighborhood, they don't see everything, so they don't know what's going on. So yes, you do have to say this is a problem. And you also may even have to offer a suggestion, a solution, because they might not have one at the moment. They may not know what to do, you see. So that's my answer to that. Next, going back to ignorance. Again, what I see is there's a lack of understanding going on. Many of us have been miseducated about each other's culture. We need to make it a point to try and speak and learn more about our neighbors, because a lot of us don't. There are also a lot of people who, they see things and they say to themselves, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, but they don't fully understand, well, where does all of that come from? And if you were to find out where it comes from, you may realize it's not as bad as it may look, even though you weren't necessarily raised that way. Another thing is this: you got to keep things in focus, which is another issue. When it comes to unity, I feel that's another obstacle when it comes to people uniting, is that people often lose focus of what the main goal is. The main goal of keeping your community together is to keep it safe, is to have good education, clean water, clean streets, etc. What a person is doing in their household, how they live their life in their house, that's none of your business. Again, what a person does inside of their house, who they live with, that is none of your concern. that actually does not bring down the community. Crime brings down the community. Focus on that. Put your emphasis on that. If your sewage is backing up, if there's flooding, your focus should be on that. Your focus should not be on what people, your neighbors, are doing personally. Now, if you come together and even when you feel some sort of connection, or you want some sort of connection, if you don't understand, you ask. But don't make assumptions and don't put people down, because that actually pushes people away from you, as opposed to bringing people together. Okay? I'm speaking from experience in the fact that, as many of you know, part of my family is West Indian and part of my family is American. The West Indian side, we do things a bit different than what most Americans do. And so sometimes there's unrealistic and unneeded clashes. The other thing, too, is that many West Indians don't know American history. And even to be an American citizen, you really don't need to know much American history to become a citizen. And then most Americans don't know West Indian history, you know. And one thing that I've seen that has bothered me is that a lot of people have said that West Indian people are not real black. I've even seen where they said Africans are not real black. Since I was born, that black was, is, and shall always be my culture, period. End of discussion. So, well, let me just go further into it. It's offensive to me when people say, no, you're not real, or you're half, or you're mixed, because of my West Indian background. No, I'm not. I'm black, period. That's all over. Okay, so, and it hurts that people, particularly black people, black Americans, who push away West Indians and Africans and say that because our culture is not the same, we're the same race, we're just not the same culture. But just because our culture is not the same, that doesn't necessarily mean that our fight and your fight is any different. We're actually pretty much the same. We've been lied to as well. And also, there are certain things, for example, as mentioned before, I am for reparations. However, I'm only for it for African Americans. So I don't feel as though I should be, basically I am fighting the same fight, or I'm willing to fight with you. I am an ally. Many of us are allies. So I do feel some sort of way when I am being pushed back. And I'm pretty sure that many others who are West Indian, whether you're half West Indian or full-blooded, or if you're African, whether half, you do feel a certain kind of way when you're told that you're not fully black, or you're not fully accepted because of your culture. If we live in the same community, we should be allies. If I am your neighbor, we should be allies. We have the same problem. Do not push me out just because my culture is different from yours. And that's what I have to say about that. Okay, next is communication. Again, the way you communicate with people means a lot. A lot of times, the breakdown of people coming together and people uniting is because of how they communicate. Okay. One, try to keep things as simple as possible. Two, you can be a straight shooter without actually hurting a person. You can be honest with how you relay information to them. You see, it's not always what you say, but it's how you say it. Okay? And it's also when you say it. Okay? That's another thing, too, that you have to keep in mind when you're speaking to people. I have seen groups that gather together under one accord, one mindset, and everything, but the leader or sometimes another person will come into the group and will just totally insult people. And it was clearly a different way in which they could have approached that person, in which they could have corrected that person. But instead, they just chose to humiliate, because there's a lot of, oh, I'm going to read you type of culture that I'm seeing. But that read you culture is actually what is breaking down our culture, and it's actually weakening our culture. And we need to pick one another up. We need to strengthen one another and not pull each other down. All right, next, the other thing, and that sort of relates to communication, is ego. There are a few leaders in a few organizations where, because they have the title of leader or head, where it actually gets to their head, and they start running the organization as though it's a dictatorship. Okay? You're pushing people out, especially since many of these organizations don't pay people to be there. Sometimes you have to pay in order to be a member of the organization. And if I have to pay to be a member of an organization, I definitely do not want to be dealing with anybody who's ego tripping. Or if I volunteer my time, I don't want to work with someone who has a very big head on their shoulders. You know, there's stress in my life in other areas. I don't need it in that particular area, if you will. And especially if it's an instance where you're in some sort of fight, where you are trying to get certain things done for your community. That alone is a fight in and of itself. The only people you should be fighting with, if you will, probably shouldn't even use that particular term. You're trying to convince certain people to give your community money, right? You shouldn't be fighting with the people who are your neighbors or who are in your organization. You should be going after the people who are responsible for allocating money to come into your organization or to be coming into your community. Okay? So that's what I want to say in that regards there. Next, we sort of touched on it before, and that's focus. A lot of times people lose sight of the main focus of why they are together. And I'll give you an example. I'll use my YouTube channel, for example. My videos are mainly on real estate. I have a few on travel because in the beginning I wanted to do both. But later I was told that it was best if I just stick to real estate and leave travel alone, right? So that's basically what I've been doing. Occasionally, not often, I will have people critique me, particularly the older videos where I was, where you could see my face, and they would critique my looks. My thing is that my channel is not a beauty channel, it's a real estate channel. So I really only feel as though people should only criticize me on any statement that I make that's relevant to real estate. My looks have absolutely nothing to do with anything, honestly. I feel that it is more important that everybody has a roof over their head than the hair that's growing out of mine. So I'm telling you right now, if I see another comment on my looks, I'm blocking you, because I want to stay focused, and I also don't want to get into any petty spats on things that are irrelevant. But believe it or not, I've also seen this in organizations as well. You know, you're not going there to sleep with any, well, okay, a few of you will probably join an organization to do that, but the main focus or the main point of whatever organization that you join is to improve, you know, your surroundings, improve your community. It's not based on, you know, what it should not be based on what you look like. And then lastly, what some organizations lose on is discipline. You see, discipline is needed in order to get things done. It helps you to prioritize, plan, and then execute. Okay? A lot of organizations, they come together of like mind and like heart, but for whatever reason, the members or they just lack discipline. They lack that essential quality that's needed in order to follow through on whatever the objectives of the organization was in the first place. Okay? So that's basically what I have seen and what I have experienced. All right? And I guess to a certain extent, we can look at the recent bill that was rejected by Donald Trump. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not totally mad about it, because first of all, the $600 was not enough money. It really should have been a whole lot more. But when you go through the bill, now listen, it was 5,000 pages, so no, I did not read the whole entire thing. But the part where they were giving $10 million to Palestine gender program and 135 million to the country of Burma, I feel that the United States at this particular point in time should not be giving money to any other country. They don't owe those countries that money. Okay? That's number one. Number two, if they took the money that they were given to these countries, and I understand they also was giving Asia like 1.4 billion. If they were to take that money that they were given to these other countries and kept that money here in the United States, we probably would have been able to get more than the $600 and the $300 that they were promising, which I believe is going to end in March. You know, that is ridiculous. That is definitely an issue. So hopefully our new president, which will come into office in January, hopefully Biden will do better, because $600 is a joke. You know, my cousins are in Canada getting like $2,000 a month, plus more because of the kids, you know? So, anyway, that's pretty much, all I have to share with you as far as what the obstacles are when it comes to unity, and also what some of my solutions are when it comes to how we can go about improving and bringing on more unity. Now, what I would like to know from you is, what obstacles do you think are getting in the way from people uniting as one? Number one. Number two, what solutions do you have to bring about more unity in the world? Number three, do you belong to any organization, particularly a political organization or a community board, etc.? Drop them down in the comment section of my YouTube video and let me know, because I am actually interested in looking into joining some more groups, especially now that everything is online. I would really be interested in seeing what others have to offer, if it would be a right fit for me, and if there is anything else that I can do, because I have read many bills this year, and there are a lot of things that I see that I don't care for too much. And I feel as though I may need to get a little bit more politically active. I'm not saying that I'm running for office at all. I'm not saying that I will necessarily take any big position, but I just want to be a little bit more active, so that there will be less waste, and also because I really am for everybody. I do believe that just about everybody should have a home to live in. Everybody should have a roof over their heads. And unfortunately, with the economy being as it is, many people have become homeless already. And being that there was hardly any money given to landlords, hardly any money given to homeowners, I fear that there will be more foreclosures in the near future. All right. So guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Hopefully the information that I have shared will help you make smart money moves. Feel free to pass this along. Remember, each one reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.